Hi, my name is Dustin, and in this tutorial I will show you how to use the InEdit and InPaint features of Storyboarder.ai. We'll go to one of the prepared storyboards you can see here and take a closer look at the edit mode. As you can see, there are several functions that you can click on above this image, and we are going to go through them step by step. For example, if you don't like the fact that we have another person in the foreground of this image and you want to focus on our main characters, you can use these three icons at the top of the image to zoom in or zoom out, or you can move the image and change the shot size. You can also zoom out again if it was too wide for you, and finally you can adjust the shot size to your liking. For example, if you didn't like the first version of the AI. You can then save the whole thing and it will be displayed as a new image when you leave the window. You can also go back at any time while you're in edit mode and, for example, view the image as it was before. You also have another icon on the right. These are the arrows that you can use to draw camera movements in the image when you open them. Assuming you want to draw a camera move, you can now select an arrow that will be placed on the image. You can then move it or zoom in using the dots. You can also use this anchor to rotate the arrow and define a direction. You can also change its perspective and basically have complete freedom to change this arrow as you wish, and could now use it to show the camera moving from left to right. You can then save the whole thing, and again, the image will be saved in its entirety. One thing to keep in mind, if you have selected an arrow style and drag it somewhere and then click on the image, the arrow will disappear. In reality, it is not gone, but if you now move the image once and let go, the arrow is back. You can pick it up, change it, and treat it in the same way as just shown. So these are the four functions explained above. Now we come to the fifth function. You can see this little brush icon here, which is Storyboarder AI's own InPaint feature. How does it work? You can click on it and the cursor turns into a brush. With InPaint, you have several possibilities to intervene in your image and make changes. Let me give you an example to show you what is possible. Let's take a quick look at the storyboard. Here we have our character with a pink blouse, and here we have a more brown one. If our goal is to match these colors, we can do that using the InPaint feature. So we go to InPaint and paint into the image to add new information. Now we've got everything selected once, and when you're done painting, there's a window at the bottom where you can enter your changes. And let's say we would write here pinkish color. Then we press InPaint, and you can see the refresh pulsating in the bottom right corner. This means that 4 different new versions are being created in the background. This is not shown anywhere yet, but 4 versions of this new input are now being created in the background. This means that you have a choice of several new options. You can then select the one you like and edit it further. Let's take a look at what we came up with. This usually takes a little longer because 4 images are created in the background. So now that the whole thing has been generated, we can see what was happened here. We can see in this image that the color is changed exactly in the area that we marked. If we go back further using these arrows, we can see the other suggested images. And here we can already see, okay, this doesn't look too bad. Maybe we could even leave it as it is. We click again to see if there might be a better one. This one doesn't look too good, and we have another one here that might be okay. Let's say we like this one the best. That means we could take it now and just save it, and that will be the end of it. This is how InPaint works in general. But we could also go one step further and say, not only do we take this image, which is also shown here, but we also click on the variations button here in the storyboard mode. This means that the AI takes this newly generated image where you might say it's still not quite organically integrated, and if we now click on variations, it will generate a new image that might feel a little bit more organic, but is still very close to the image that we already see here. As you can see, we have a new image, and our main character, who was just wearing a beige blouse, is now much more adapted to the color scheme that corresponds to that blouse. This is an example of how to work with the InPaint feature in Storyboarder AI. So you click on the brush icon, select the areas you want to change, and enter your changes. If you want to go even further, you can also use the variations to create different nuances in the image. Let's go further. What else can we do? Let's take a look at our pilot here. Go to Edit and click on the brush icon, and let's create a scar across his forehead. In other words, we just select this area of his forehead, type in scar, press InPaint, and the same thing happens in the background. Now 4 versions of the new image will be created. The whole thing takes a while, and we immediately look at the 4 new versions of this image and see which one we like. And so we do. InPaint is finished, and we can clearly see a very good looking scar on the forehead. We can go back and see if we like something better, but in the end we'll stick with this scar and save the image. It doesn't need any further variation, it already looks pretty good. Let's go further. What other options do we have? Let's take a look at this image. We also go to the Edit menu, and we see that there is a cocktail in the hand, and it wouldn't be bad if there was a little cocktail umbrella sticking out. In other words, it would be nice to see a cocktail umbrella here, and we say cocktail umbrella and press InPaint. And now let's have another look at the 4 versions that are suggested to us. So what happened here? We can see that the cocktail umbrella has not been generated at all. It is just blurred with the background. We go through it again. The version didn't generate anything new either. But lo and behold, this looks like a version we really like. The 4th version isn't bad either, so we have 2 out of 2 good new cocktail umbrellas. Let's pick this one, click Save, and maybe take it a step further and say we're going to make a variation of it. So let's click Variations again and see if we can make the image feel more harmonious. Et voila! We've also improved the whole thing a little bit, and we've added a cocktail umbrella where there wasn't one before. These are some of the ways you can use the InPaint feature. Now I'm going to show you how the whole thing could look in a more drawn style and what options we have there. So let's take a look at a storyboard that was created in the detailed sketch mode. The InPaint is a bit more difficult to use in the non-photorealistic area, but there are still countless possibilities to create suitable things in the InPaint. Let's take a look at this picture and say that we want to have a cat lying on the bed. In other words, we sketch this area once, paint it out completely, and then type a cat lying on the bed into the box. Then we click InPaint and look at what is generated. Lo and behold, we actually have a cat here, but unfortunately drawn in color. You can also see a cat here, but it doesn't look that good. We also have a cat that matches our art style. Here, in other words, where there was no cat before, there's one now, and we save the whole thing. Another example, let's say we don't want to see one of these people anymore. There's a way to do that too. Again, we go to the InPaint and mark our character in the background and paint it accordingly. Be very precise when painting so that nothing gets lost. For example, let's say office background and press InPaint. And again, we can see what was happened. In fact, this area has been transformed into a chair. We also have another version where you can see something similar and other backgrounds that we might not like so much. So let's choose our favorite and save the image accordingly. Again, we test the variation to see if the whole thing looks even more harmonious. And as you can see, it's another nice variation of the image. It may have become a little more harmonious overall, so we removed our figure in the background. So one last example, if we want to see our product again in the final shot, we can also clear a whole area here that we will be there to stage the product again. In other words, we paint an area where we want to see our product and then see what happens. Now that we've painted it out, we can write something like shampoo product shot and press InPaint. And then we have 4 different images again, and we're going to look at them right now. As you can see, the product image is now inserted where we just painted it. We might not like it yet, but we can zap through it again and see which one looks really cool. It looks really nice. In other words, just take it and save it. So that's basically it for all of the InEdit and InPaint functions. To summarize briefly, at the top of the InEdit window of the image, you have the option to choose the size of the image. You can zoom in, zoom out, move the image, and you have the ability to show camera movement using the arrows. And you can mark the corresponding areas in the InPaint feature and add new information there. That's pretty much it. Try it out, just experiment a little. Don't give up if it doesn't work the first time. It always takes a bit of experimentation to get the result you want. But all in all, you have a lot of options here to make your pictures even more free and the way you want them to be in the end. Have fun editing and painting.